Hi guys, and welcome to today's YouTube video. My name's Abby and I'm here to help you get the most out of your social media presence. Now, I've been speaking to quite a few of my clients recently and we're starting to look at planning for 2021. I know we're in August, already starting to think about what we're going to do for next year. And there's some questions that I've had about what are the key trends and what should we be focusing on to make our social media strategy a little bit more powerful. So I'm going to talk to you in this video about some things to consider, so let's get started. Okay, so number one, influencer activity. So this isn't anything particularly groundbreaking. Influencer activity is a big thing. We're probably starting to move away more from the kind of celebrity and your macro influencers, so your big 50,000, 100,000 plus followers, but now starting to think about how we use nano influencers and micro influencers instead. So your nano influencers are a minimum of 1,000. So some of you out there might already be a nano influencer and you didn't even know it. So you have an opportunity to engage with brands and kind of help to raise awareness. Now, it's important to have like a bit of a breadth of different influencers. So you might want to have some of your big micro influencers as well, but you also want to have something in between and kind of like your nano influencers too. And the reason for that is the bigger you tend to get as an influencer, the less engagement you will have on your content. So they'll get loads of eyeballs on the content, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the people who are viewing that content, it's resonating with them and they're engaging in the same way. So if you have a strategy where you're using some big influencers, some which are a little bit smaller, so you're, maybe 20,000 followers, 10,000 to 20,000, and then you've got some which are more like your 2s, 3s or 4,000 followers, then you've got a nice big, a nice mix of influencers that you can use as part of your marketing strategy. Now, all influencers will want to work in different ways. Obviously, some of them want to be paid, which will probably be your bigger influencers, but it's about creating a really engaging campaign, and you might be able to get some of the micro and nano influencers to get involved with your brand if you are setting yourself up in the right way. So think about what the project is going to be, what the campaign is going to be, and think about value. It's not always about exchange of money. You don't necessarily always want to pay for your influencers, but try and think about some content that you can create which would actually be quite fun for them. It will resonate with them, and you're thinking a little bit outside the box. So that's number one, is thinking about your influencers. Now, most of the time when I talk about influencers, people instantly think about Instagram. But there isn't just influencers on Instagram. We also have other platforms. So have a think about perhaps even YouTube. YouTube's got lots and lots of influencers available, as you may know. So it's definitely worth thinking about whether you've got some influencers that you could tap into existing on YouTube and partnering up with them. There's also other platforms such as TikTok, depending on what country you're in, I suppose, because as we know, that's kind of starting to close down in some places. But the point here is just think about your brand and your target audience. Think about who you're trying to resonate with, and then pick the platform where you can find those relevant influencers to engage with. So it could even be the likes of Pinterest, or maybe even, like I said, TikTok, but maybe even something like Twitch, so using a gaming platform to engage your followers. So have a think a little bit outside the box and test out these new influencers on other platforms rather than just focusing on Instagram. Now, the second thing for you to think about is, again, when it comes to social, we always just think about maybe more of like your obvious platforms, influencer activity, but have you also thought about using things such as podcasts? So I think this is really powerful, and especially if you're doing some PR activity, you might be able to partner this up. So in the same way you have influencers on your Instagrams and YouTubes, you will also have the opportunity to partner up with some very big podcasters. So maybe reach out to some relevant podcasters. So you can do that in various ways. It could be via a sponsorship. It could be just to feature on the podcast. So some podcast formats are sometimes like Q&As. So you could offer up a good piece of content there. So just have a think about how you could use podcasts. I think that's really important to start adding that into the mix, especially as it's getting bigger and bigger every year. Now, slightly kind of going back to the influencer point again, and talking about nano influencers, don't forget that your own followers are actually influencers potentially too. So if they might actually have, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 followers. So why not reach out to them and get them involved as well? User generated content is really, really powerful. I work with some brands where they actively encourage their customers to share user generated content. Obviously it might be easier in some industries than in others to create beautiful content, but it's definitely worth having an element of UGC involved as well, and maybe thinking about how you use that content to either maybe create a monthly video, or you can obviously just do something as simple as just reposting that content. Maybe you give a hotspot and let certain customers, like your Facebook cover image could be updated, which is a little bit more of an old school tactic, but there's loads of different things that you could do, but don't forget about user generated content. Your customers are your biggest brand ambassadors, so definitely make the most out of that. One last thing I wanted to talk to you is about using the live function. Now, this could be Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, which you can apply for, and also Instagram TV, maybe even doing YouTube Live. So there's so many different platforms that you can do live video on. I have spoken to some brands previously where they've said, oh, we tried to do like an IGTV, it didn't work. And some people get put off because of the numbers that are in the top right hand corner. I think it tells you like how many followers you've got, how many people are watching the video. Now, my recommendation is you can't just log onto the platform on the day and then expect everyone to be there and be like, oh, only 3 people showed up and 2 of them were the people who I work with. This kind of stuff, if you're going to put so much effort into doing live, you've got to do it properly. And the way you do it properly is by planning it out at least 4 to 6 weeks. Don't do it any longer than that, because then people tend to forget, but give it at least 4 to 6 weeks and remind people as well. So do like a weekly reminder, maybe get people to sign up or something so that they can get an email into their inbox to remind them, something along those lines. But get some created for that type of content as well. So have like the date, the time, and like tease out if you're going to have like several people on the live session. Maybe you're going to do a Q&A, and then maybe do some profile pieces on those people as well, so that people are engaged. Let them know the why and where, etc., and give an element to engage with. So maybe that's a competition. So you say, anyone who joins our live session and they use this particular hashtag, you'll automatically be entered into a prize draw. And then you'll be in with a chance to win X, Y, and Z. Or you could do something like, use this hashtag, ask us some questions, and the best question might get an award or get some kind of like prize or something. So have a think about how you could continue that engagement. Now, when it comes to your actual live session, think about how long you're going to be running that live session for as well. Is it going to be an hour session? Is it going to just be 20 minutes? And try and keep people engaged, because you might notice that, if you're maybe going on about a particular point for too long, certain people might start coming off, but you can see it in the live numbers anyway, if people are starting to switch off. So be mindful about keeping each section nice and fresh. And the last thing really is to think about your crisis comms as well. So have a think about all the potential problems you could have, and don't get scared by that. It's just, if you're prepared for it, then you won't be fazed by it as much, and you'll have your plan in place, so you know what to do. You can't always account for every single thing that could happen, but you can be realistic. It could be something like someone starts to complain about a service or something like that, something that might have happened. So think about what your responses would be and how you're going to handle it, and then you'll be good to go. And that's it for this video. So I hope those pointers there will really help you with your strategy for 2021. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and as always, please do feel free to leave me any comments below. Your feedback and connections on other social channels, some of you have been messaging me, that's really, really appreciated, so thank you so much. And I will see you next week. Thank you very much.